Okay, what I've done here with this is I've just set up a kind of our planes in that. So this is going to be our 3D object that I'm going to import into first of all CAD and then into PowerPoint. I'm going to do all the coloring and the rendering and the construction studies within CAD, and then I'm going to bring it into PowerPoint. So if we just look at the object here, just a couple of tips when it comes to it. You see the way I've added a lot of thickness to the planes like that. The reason I do that is that if I put that at 0.1 or whatever like that, it looks great in SolidWorks. But when you try to bring that into CAD, what you end up with is two lines, one on top of the other. So when you want to animate something, you're going to animate it and you click your triangle or whatever, and you'll find, geez, it's there from the start. Well, what you'll find is you've animated the top surface, but the bottom surface is still underneath it. So what I do is I delete any of the excess lines in CAD, and to make it easier for me to delete them, I just add a good bit of thickness to the objects. Same way with the plane here, I've added a good bit of thickness to it like so. So I've created my object like that, and I find an image or a view that I kind of like, right? So something that kind of gives you a good clear image of the object. So you can go to your trimetric and that sort of stuff. What I find myself generally doing is I'll kind of go with one of the 3D views and say, oh no, that's coming from the wrong side. So I generally kind of say, well look, if I want to go from this side, yeah, that's a little bit better. I might just kind of adjust it like that, so that looks a bit clearer. A handy little tip: if you have a wheel on your mouse, if you go over a line, just click the wheel on the mouse. See the little symbol that it comes up like that? That allows you just to rotate it or hinge it from that, so it keeps all your vertical lines vertical. So you can get a nice kind of view like so. So that's my object like that. The bodies here like that, I haven't actually merged them, so I've got a series of individual parts. The plane is a part, the background is a part, and these are parts themselves, and I've just put in my little sketch like that. I've saved the object, and I go to File, and then Make Drawing from Part. So in my Drawing from Part, I go A3, and when it comes down here, I just have current. So whatever image view you have set up there, you can just drag him in as your current one. So you don't have to go saving it or anything like that. I'm going to increase the size of it, custom scale, say at 1:1. So there's our guy like that. And I'm just going to make all my lines solid like that. The hidden detail and that you can work out in PowerPoint. It's much, much easier to do that. If you have hidden lines here, when they come into CAD and then into PowerPoint, they come in as a series of individual lines, and it's an absolute pain having to group them all together so you can deal with them all in one go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring them all in as solid lines, break them up in CAD, and then put them as center lines or hidden lines in PowerPoint. So I go File, Save As, and I'm going to save that as a DWG file. DWG file is a CAD file. So DWG save. Oh no, I don't want to replace that. I'm going to save it as maybe 2 here. So I've already got I've kind of a 1 preset up. So save like that, and I'm just going to open it up in. There he is, solid 1. So open them up, continue opening DWG file, and there's my image like that. So I'm going to just delete anything that I don't want. Simple, just select it, delete it, and like that. And then here's where I'm tidying up the image. So you can see I've got my solid objects like that. So I'm just going to delete the thickness of the material. And the fact that I've extruded him down quite a bit makes it so much easier. I don't have to go zooming in to see this tiny little difference there. Same thing applies. So there's my planes. I can delete away that. There's the thickness of that. So much, much easier to tidy him up. Sometimes you'll find lines will still be doubled up. So looking at that here now, I can see that. See the way this looks a bit blacker. Maybe you can't see it there. But if I click on him, just have a check. If I just hit delete, see it actually deleted a line that was on top of another one. Sometimes you get double lines. The reason for that was that I actually created a sketch initially of my horizontal trace, my vertical trace, and then I put in a plane over that. So it's picking up the original sketch. But there's my object like that. That's pretty much set up to go into CAD. The one thing I do want to do is, see my guy here like that? I'm going to want to have this front here like that, and I'm going to want to have the back of it so that it's in hidden detail. So there's a handy little button, I don't know if you've used it, called break at a point. Have you used break at a point? Right. Basically in the modify section here, I'm just going to draw a line across. It's a bit like the trim feature, but it doesn't remove the object that you're after. So I want to cut this ellipse here at this point here and this point here. So I go modify and I go break at a point. So I select the ellipse. I just select the point there, so there. And you can see that's broken him there into this portion here. And I'm going to do the same again, modify, break at a point. So I'm going to select the ellipse and I'm going to break him there. So now I've got this part here where when I bring it into PowerPoint, I can make that a center line or a hidden line. I can do the same with this guy over here. Again, line, break at a point. So modify, break at a point. If I'm going too fast, will you let me know? Sorry, break at a point. So click there. So that's our guy broken like that. Delete it and I don't need. I'm going to want to put on a bit of construction as well onto my object. So I'm going to want to show my watermark maybe going from the apex here coming across. So it'll be lined up with my 2D version. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add in any construction at this stage that I might need. So I'm going to just maybe say take this guy here, add him up here like that, continue him on then. So that's going to be my watermark going from the apex here like that. So that's a handy point to have. And that's my CAD done. That's the 3D done for that, ready to go into PowerPoint. So to bring it into PowerPoint, if you remember from Des last year, you go to Export, you go down to Other Formats, and it's a meta file, so a WMF file. So that's our solid. I'm going to go to Save, and I select, drag a box over the object that I want to select, and hit Enter. And that's my 3D like so. I'm going to bring it into PowerPoint then, so I have a blank presentation here. I'm going to say, well, let's imagine we have our 2D version of it here, so you can draw that up in CAD, say your question with all your construction and that. So you know how to do that much. Let's bring in the 3D here. So I go to Insert, I go to Pictures, and I'm going to search, where do I have it here, Sample Animation. And there I just select my WMF file. So Insert, there it is like that. And I can just do a little bit of sizing up like that. So before we do anything else, so let's say, well, nice big like that. So that's going to be in the far corner here. Yeah, that's good. So that gives me plenty of space to have my my 2D side by side with my 3D. Generally with these kind of PowerPoints, I like to have it kind of in a widescreen format. So it gives me plenty of space for the 2D, plenty of space for the 3D. Most TVs, most computer screens are widescreen now anyway, so it's still going to come through fairly handily. So right click, group, ungroup, yes. That converts it. Right click again, group, ungroup, and that allows me to get rid of this kind of box at the back of it and have all individual lines. So first thing I do is select this kind of box that would have been comes in with it. Just delete him so that we're just dealing with the points themselves. I'm going to select them all. I'm going to right click and format object. I'm just going to size them all up to start with. So right click, that's format shape. The width of the thing I'm going to maybe make, I don't know, make it size 2 just to add a bit of thickness to it. I like to kind of go with the cap type flat, and what that does is the ends of the lines, instead of being square, are going to be round. So I'll zoom in on that to show you what that actually means. So if you see at the moment, see the way the cap type is, see it's square like that. See the way there's a corner? So you see what happens if I Control A and make that round. When I zoom in at the moment, see the way they're nice and tidy. What it's done is it's actually rounded off the edge like that, so they all join nice and kind of neatly. So that's my object like so. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to just group together things that I want to animate all together at the one time. So the plane itself, there's one. If I push shift or control, I find shift is handier. If you have push control and you want to select more than one object, that's control there. But if I miss this object here, it unselects. What does it? Oh, no, it doesn't. Usually it unselects everything. It doesn't in this case. Alright, I'm going to change that. So 1, 2, 3. And I can either push Control and G to group them together, or I can right click, group them, group. So that is one group now. If you can see, if I deleted that, it's nice, it's all the one like that. And Control and Z for undo. Same thing applies with my cone here. I'm going to select the cone. You can see it now, it brought it in sections. It does that with ellipses sometimes, it brings it into sections. So what I'm going to, first thing I'm going to do is just going to select all of my sections and just make sure that they are all grouped together. So group that together. Actually, no, ungroup them. So group them together. Just delete it. See, make sure. Oh yeah, so that's it all done. This is the back of the piece. I'm going to change him to hidden like that. So, and I actually want to just decrease the size of there just for hidden detail, just to make it a bit clearer. But I'm going to group the two together then. So Control and G, they're grouped. I'm going to also group them with the lines like so, Control and G. So that is all one solid. Now, same thing applies with this guy here. I'm going to decrease the size of that. And I'm going to just group all that together. Like so. Yeah, I can continue on the, if I want to say rejoin that, I can just maybe, I can extend the line on, or I can just tidy it up a little bit. Double tap on that. What's going on there? So there's our line like that. If I want to extend them on a little bit, just tidy them up so make it look so nice, a bit neater there. That. Same way at the far end here. Just maybe tidy them like that. So that tidies it up. So then I want to add my color to it. The color is, I wish there was a quicker way to do it, but the way to add the color is to simply go into Insert, Shapes, and then just use your freeform shape like that. So I'm going to select, click here, click like that, and I'm literally just going to draw a line around it like that. And because we're only going in straight lines here, which are freeform, it tends to be a little bit slower. So you have to kind of just have a bit of patience with it. And that. Have you used that feature before? No. So it's just Insert, Shapes, and then Freeform, and you can see that gives you your shape like that. So the first thing I do with that shape, so that's just going to be my color. I go to no fill, or sorry, no line. So get rid of the line out of it, and then I'm going to go into gradient fill. I'm going to make it want to look kind of 3D, like if it was a cylinder that, or a cone. So let's say I want to, I'm going to select from my options here. I'm going to say, let's make him medium like that. And you can see I have my options to make it vertical like that. And you can see I can adjust it to make it look like kind of a 3D cone. You can change it if you want to make it more extreme. You can say like that. You know, that makes it look nice and kind of 3D. Then what I do is I click on the color. Because the color is in front of the object, I right click on the color and send it to the back. So now it's behind the lines, and that's one of the things of thickening up the lines beforehand. Allows you to a bit of leeway there, so it doesn't have to be exact that. So the color is like that. I'm going to select the edges, I'm going to select the color, and Control and G to group the two together. Now that's one group. I'm going to do exactly the same with this guy here. So shape like so, click there, like so. Like, you get very, very quick at it once you put a bit of, once you're going to get a bit of experience with it. So that's our guy like so. Again, no line, gradient fill, and maybe just pick a different color this time. So I might go green, and I'm going to maybe vertical, and just lighten him up there a little bit like that. So that's our guy. Send to back. Click on this guy here. That's grouped together, and you can see this is behind this, so that's kind of like that. You can also do the same with the likes of your lines here like that. So I'm going to right click on him and send him to the back, so you can see it. I don't have to go trimming him in CAD. I've literally just hidden him behind the object. I'm going to do the exact same then for my plane. So Insert, Shapes, Freeform, this, and I'm just going to do it very quickly here now, so I'm not going to be super accurate with it, but you'll see like this. For the plane, I want the plane to be transparent because I want to be able to see through, because the cones are underneath it. So there's my plane like that. Now that plane is obviously in front of the object, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, let's make the plane yellow, and I'm going to just turn up the transparency on it. So you can see literally it does turn up the transparency like so. I'm going to right click on that, send it to the back. I'm going to select the outline of it, group the two together, and you can see, just you can right click on it and maybe just to make sure, right click there together and bring to the front just to make sure they're in front of everything else. And like you can cycle between what's in the front and the back. If I wanted the line here to be in the front, I'll just select the line, right click on it, bring to front, that's in front. Same way I might want this line here, which is going to be on the plane, to be in the front. So right click on it, bring to front, there's my line like that. So there are my objects. You'll do the exact same with the planes, so colouring in the planes, and like so on and so forth. Let's look at animating it then, right? So to animate this, we're going to start off with our line, like so, and we want to find the plane. So we're going to start off with a line floating in space. We're going to want to put in our two cones, then we're going to want to draw in our tangent, like so, and then we're going to want to draw in our watermark, and then this guy here like that. Actually, so thinking about that, the outline that I have here, I'm going to want to ungroup that so that I have individual lines as opposed to one big group. So my guy here, I'm going to ungroup him actually. So I've made up a series of lines. So let's animate it. So animation tab like so, animation pane, and the first thing I'm going to do is draw in my cones. So I'm going to select the cone here, cone 1, and whichever type of animation you want, you might want to have him fade in. So fade in like so. You might want to do the same then for the cone 2. Oops. So select him, fade like so. You can see they're appearing on the side here. So group 1, that's on click, then click again. Your cone number 2 is going to fade in. Now I want to have the line here wipe. So wipe from right. So that's going to wipe along like so. I'm going to want to locate my vertical trace, so I'm going to use my watermark here, wipe, again, select the direction from right, and that hits the back wall, so we're going to select here, wipe, and I'm going to have it wipe from the bottom up like that. So that's my construction like so. Then I'm going to have this and this guy here, that's the plane completed, so I'm going to have the two of them fade in, like so. So if we actually look at the process of that, so let's just click present. That is going to be like click, cone 1 appears, click, cone 2 appears. There's our tangent at the base. There's our watermark until it hits the back wall. And again, what you can do is you can have the 2D happening with the 3D. So when the 2D happens, you'll see your parallel line come in plan view. You'll see your watermark coming in plan view, going as far as the XY line. Then this little guy comes in. So the two are happening side by side. 2D with the 3D, one being able to explain off the other. There's our VTH, and then click. There's our plane coming in. So that is, I suppose, that's the process of our 3D with our 2D like that. You can do all sorts of things. You can have planes rising up, and you can have things moving if you want. That's all just using your animations, and like that, literally just that's kind of a situation by situation type of thing. But just to have things. If you have, say, if you're doing cutting planes, what you can do is you can take your object from SolidWorks, bring them all in. So cut 1, cut 2, cut 3, and just literally kind of dock to them. So one will fade over the other, fade over the next one, fade over the next one. That's our guy like that. If you want to have the object rotating, so let's say you want to have look at it, so you want to see an edge of it. You can't do that within PowerPoint. PowerPoint is only good for like that, making things appear and having your construction lines wiping in. In order to do that, you need to go and use your animation in SolidWorks.